All right, we're here with Slade Coulter, who is, we love having people like you on your name's getting out there more. You're a
Right.
young artist, you're a Texas guy, but if you had to kind of give people like a little bit of a snippet of like your style of music and kind of how would you describe your kind of, I don't even know, you want to just, who is Slade Coulter?
Right. Yeah. Well, as far as our music goes, I feel like we just play stuff we'd like to hear. It leans a little bit more towards the alternative side. I feel like
Sure.
there's definitely some rock influences, still a lot of country influence in it. But we're kind of just trying to do our own thing. I'm from a really small town originally, Jayton, Texas, about 500 people, and there's a lot of influence from that in my music, I feel like. But yeah, I feel like we're kind of just trying to create our own genre in a way, just kind of try to play what we like.
I love that about like Texas. There's Wes, you can probably speak to this as well. We've had like Wetzel on, and there's just like
Mhm.
that. It's like even he doesn't call himself country, but he kind of like fits into there. But it's more like
Right.
there's like I love that element of like the Texas scene is like very, very like unique to the artist. There's like no bullshit. It's just very like that's who
Right.
that's how you sound. And like
And these days especially, I feel like there's a lot of people these days in this scene that are leaning more towards the rock side.
yeah.
There's a lot of classic rock influence.
Like Whiskey Myers is like probably like the main one that's like crushing
Mhm.
the rock. Like, I mean, they're pretty much a rock and roll Southern rock band.
Oh yeah,
But
they're
like
so good, man.
they'll slow it down with the country stuff. But then you got like Coe and like Austin Mead and Cody West and guys like yourself who are kind of
Right.
bringing some of that kind of rock and roll country. It's almost like Texas rock is like it should be its own genre. Like
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I mean, speaking of like Whiskey Myers, like when we listen to your music, it harkens some of that feel like we're talking about. But a lot of people that still don't know, they're huge. And we saw them
Mhm.
open for the Rolling Stones at Soldier Field in
Oh,
Chicago, and people were like, "Wait, what?" It's like, yeah, like they're legit. Like
Mick Jagger was like, yo, I want these guys opening up for me.
but Texas is so underrated in that respect, where it's like, do you feel like you just naturally have like a chip on your shoulder when it's just like the Texas scene has its like own thing?
right. It's kind of tough because same thing. I feel like we relate to a lot of those guys like Whiskey Myers and Co. and stuff like that. But um, I don't want to label ourselves as just this Texas rock band and get stuck in the same place. You know what I mean? I want to write music and make music that relates to people all across different genres. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, Whiskey Myers is definitely a big influence of mine. Those guys are crazy. I watched them open for Casey Donahue in Abilene, Texas, like when I was in like 7th grade. And now, like you said, they're opening for the Rolling Stones. And it's crazy to see people
Still openers.
like,
Just kidding.
yeah, yeah, still openers. But it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, their live show to me is like one of the best. We've seen them a few times, and even in like small theater venues and stuff, 1,000, 2,000 people. And
There's something about the Texas, like the live show. It just seems so much livelier, better, energetic. We've
Right.
seen some shows from like mainstream artists that have number ones on mainstream radio, and you're just like, it's a snooze fest. It's just like,
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is that most, like in this scene, the way you're going to generate revenue is playing live shows. Whereas might not be the case, people in other genres and making other different kinds of music. But there's a huge push for touring and playing live shows down here. That's how you're going to make your money. And so there's a lot of people that have some really, really good sets.
how many shows do you play a year, would you say?
I guess when it's normal.
Yeah, I mean, not now.
Right. It's really hard to say because when everything was normal, that was still when we were just getting our feet off the ground. We played our first band show in May of 2019, I think. And from there till the start of the pandemic, it was kind of just like spotty here and there, a show every week, maybe a show every couple of weeks. It was really, we were just picking up everything we could. But it was pretty spotty up until the pandemic. And actually for us, the pandemic has been it's been really good for us. We've been really grinding, and it's given us the opportunity to pick up, some of the shows that the bigger acts couldn't take. Man, yeah, I think we've really progressed a lot since the start of the pandemic, and when everything opens back up, we'll be ready to really roll.
And you were just in around Seattle. You were with Zach Bryan.
Yeah, that was crazy.
How did
That was
that all
insane.
come out?
So we put out an EP in January of last year, and there's a song on there called "Take It Out on Me," which is still my personal favorite that I've written. And apparently he heard it somewhere one night and told his manager he wanted to come make a video for it. And so I woke up one morning to a DM on Instagram from him, and he just said, "Hey man, you want to come sing this song in my Bronco?" And I was like, I didn't know if I was hallucinating for a second or what. I was like, because he's blown up.
Yeah, I mean,
and I said absolutely. So I mean, they flew me up to Seattle, and we went and shot that video and spent the whole day just sitting there and editing it. And he was just super down to earth guy, just really genuine dude, and it was an incredible experience.
and that he legitimately, we haven't done the podcast yet with him, but we've like chatted with him via like DM or Twitter or whatever, and
Yeah,
like legitimately seems like one of the coolest, nicest, most down to earth, like respect and so much, and like doing it the right way. It's like such a breath of fresh air, because you see so much of the industry
definitely.
kind of like eats people up and they turn into a walking disaster. And he seems like a guy that kind of has his wits about him, like looking ahead.
Yeah,
you pick your brain on that type of thing, and just looking ahead and seeing your career kind of starting now. It's
right. And I think that's super important, because I really didn't know what to expect, of him going up there. But I mean, it was like talking to somebody from my hometown. He's, just super genuine. And I was like, man, why are you doing this? It's costing you a lot of time and effort and money to fly me all the way up here and record this video. And he was just like, man, I have a big platform now. So I was making videos and posted them on Twitter 2 years ago, and now I have this huge platform, and I just want to use it to promote real music that I like. So I think that's something that's super cool about him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a good guy to have in your corner, in a sense. Like,
for sure.
Like blowing up. And I mean, I feel like with him too, we haven't even seen like the fullness of what he can probably do. Like even today, like this morning, they released his Dave Cobb produced stuff, but like get him with a full album, producer and everything. And I think
and he hasn't been able to really tour or do anything like that, so we haven't been able to see any of that side of him.
You guys were singing Turnpike. Where the hell was the elevator?
Yeah, where were you guys drinking, or how did that come about?
Yeah, man, we finished up recording and editing that video that Saturday. I was down there, and I had to fly out the next morning, so we drove into Seattle. He said, "Hey, we'll grab a hotel in Seattle for the night." And so we went to the hotel and broke into the mini bars in our rooms, and pretty much cleaned them out of the shots. And next thing, we went outside to play some songs first, but it was freezing. It was like unbearable out there. So we came back in. We were going back up to the room, and he said, "Hey, let's just record a video right here in the elevator." I said, "Okay, yeah." So we set up the phone. We were half lit at that point, and so we were halfway through the song, and the lights go out, and the door opened at the bottom, and there's somebody waiting to get on. It was a funny experience, man. But
that's Twitter needs more of that, I think. Just like content versus what it's turned into. And I mean, who can drink more, you or him? You guys, like, there's like a drinking look. Wes and I consider ourselves professionals, but like it's taking small. We're 32-ish. But it was like, if I just like look, if I didn't know who you were and I didn't know who Zach was, just like the haircuts alone, I'm like, that guy can drink, that guy can drink. They look like they're able to throw them back. It was a whiskey, everything, tequila, or just a
whatever's.
We went through some beer and then a jar of moonshine and then some whiskey shots. And
I'm sure you felt great heading on a flight.
Yeah, it was a great flight home.
That's
Yeah.
that's the worst possible situation for a hangover, in my opinion, is flying.
I literally tweeted that when I was in Seattle
really?
and said hangover on an airplane hits different. But
Well, even like nowadays, you can't even get a drink on a plane.
Yeah.
yeah,
They'll
I know.
serve water, but they can't serve alcohol. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand some of those.
I can get a
rules.
ginger ale, but I can't get a beer. Like what?
Yeah.
Oh, they do serve.
They
okay.
serve coffee and shit and tea.
I haven't been on a plane since it really got bad.
Yeah, they're serious about the rules now on planes.
What's your hangover? Well, I think I wrote about this, but I had a situation when I was like 23, 24. I was leaving New York City where my sister lived at the time and flying back to Chicago. So it's a pretty quick flight, hour and a half, but I legitimately was so hungover that like the panic attack, like combination with flying and it's like a real thing then. I
know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's like all those physical things that happen anyways when you're flying, but if you're in a good place and physically feel fine, you really don't notice the heart rate as much. And that if you're hungover, so you're dehydrated, your heart rate's already fucking jumping around, and then you hit altitude, and I was like, my hands turned clammy, cold. I couldn't see it. Like I was just like,
is there a doctor on this plane?
I panicked so bad. I like called the lady over. I was like, please, can I just have a ginger ale? And she gave me like a cup of ice and a ginger ale, and I felt better. But it's like, man, it's
because you're on it. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's no way to make you feel better.
That's it too. You panic because you know you can't escape. If you're driving and you feel sick, you can pull over.
Yep.
You can't pull that thing over.
And some guys in the bathroom shitting. You can't even go there.
Yeah, not a fun place to be at all.
Speaking of, you're in Texas, like you said, and before we hit record, we were talking about a little bit of freezing. You said a lot of your buddies and people have had some terrible situations with their houses and stuff. So the issue is, I don't want to sound like an idiot here, but because I've read about it, right? The issue is just that you guys literally don't have
we just don't have the infrastructure for
that. Assault, and stuff like that, right? Like it's just like, oh, it hit, and you're like, we don't have it. We don't have plows. We don't have.
Yeah, there's no snow plows, nobody salting the roads. It's been pretty rough. And yeah, I had some friends over around the Fort Worth area sent me a video yesterday, and there was literally just light, like somebody's pouring a picture from his light bulb, and this whole closet, bathroom, like everything was just flooded, like ankle deep water.
Oh man.
It was, there's been a lot of people have it rough here. And a lot of people don't know how bad it is yet because everything's still frozen.
Well, I was going to ask, how is it right now? What's the temp there?
It's like 33, 34 right here. This is the first time it's been above freezing in like a week, which is insane for here.
Like never happened. Right?
Have you ever seen this in your life?
No. I mean, we get snow in Lubbock maybe a couple times a year, but like as far as every county in the state being completely frozen, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I forgot what video I saw. I think it was at some dude's condo in Austin, and standing on his balcony, and it just looks like a waterfall coming through his balcony door out of the thing, and he's just like standing there, just like defeated.
Like there's like nothing you can do at that point.
Oh man, it's like part of well, the taxes are obviously a reason people love Texas as well, but part of the reason is like the weather, right? So like you pretty.
I'm trying to get my parents to move there. I'm like, why don't you guys go to Texas? Like it's sunny and warm. You never have to plow snow. And then this shit happens. My dad's like, yo, Texas? Yeah.
Yeah, for real. My friends in Houston, he said his parents still live down there, and it froze down there bad. All their pipes are busted all the way down there. There's snow in Galveston.
Wow.
It's crazy, man.
One of my favorite, or one of the weirdest things I've experienced, I moved to Colorado in December from Chicago. And it's like, there's like a misconception a lot of times with like, even here, people, they're like, oh, Colorado, like skiing, it's cold. And I'm like, no, like right now, if you go in the sun, it feels like you can be in a shorts and t-shirt. Yeah. You walk into the shade, 30, 35 degrees or whatever. In the sun, it's like 45, but it literally feels like it's 70. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
not here, man.
Yeah.
The cold, when it's like Lubbock cold is like just a dry, bitter, windy cold. It's
Yeah.
like 60 degrees in Lubbock feels like 30 degrees in Colorado.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, Texas is like its own
Country.
Yeah, it's I've seen like some of these like joke like memes about like what each region is and how different like San Antonio is compared to Austin, compared to Houston, compared
Yeah.
it's true, right?
Yeah. Oh, completely. Like everywhere you go is just so far different from the next as
What's
far
your
as like the
favorite-
big cities go.
What's your favorite big city area?
Man, I like Fort Worth and Austin. Those two are my favorites. I think I probably plan on moving towards the Fort Worth area here in a couple years.
Like, yeah, I could see you in Austin. There's like a definitely a feel with the
Right.
music and all that. And I saw Elon Musk actually was on Joe Rogan again the second time, just like last week.
Yeah.
And he was, what did he say? He was like, he thinks Austin, Texas is going to be like the biggest city in America or something in like the next like 30,
Yeah.
it's going to be like the biggest boom that we've seen, like kind of like what happened in New York City like decades ago, when people like flooded it and moving in and stuff. And
Yeah, I wouldn't be
definitely can
surprised
see
at
that.
all.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, I would much rather that happen there than like Nashville, because we're just not big Nashville fans anymore. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, it's so have you been to Nashville quite a, it's like so commercialized now and like
No, I've only been to Nashville like once, and
good.
it was just to see a show at the Basement East. And,
I don't get the thing anymore. It's like not a thing anymore. I almost feel like
really,
the live music thing in Austin is like, it has the
Yeah.
feel still for me where you just see this gritty dude or gal up there like crushing it, and it just seems
right.
much more real.
It's like more holistic.
Yeah, and then you go to like
Mhm.
go in Nashville a lot of times, especially like Broadway, where all the celebrities have bars, and you just got some guy that could sing a little bit from Asheville, North Carolina, and he's in there doing a Toby Keith cover. And you're like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like I'm at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, because I am.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
like it's
I always
not
say it
fun.
reminds me of Navy Pier, which is in
Oh, yeah.
Chicago. I don't know if that's a reference that a lot of people get, but
Not I, but
yeah, like
Navy Pier in Chicago is just like a big,
tourist trap dump. I don't know.
yeah.
Don't ever go there.
but it's
Yeah.
got great views of the city and everybody goes there, and there's like a
Yeah.
Ferris wheel and
Gotcha.
but
Yeah, but Austin is, I love Austin, man, but it is for sure exploding. It's like a lot of people are saying it's the next LA.
oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people just flooding there right now. But I mean, still, there's there in the Texas scene as a whole, I feel like a big push for good songwriting, like stuff there's a huge market here for the stuff that's the real music. It's not super overproduced and
It's
yeah, and I mean, especially in Lubbock, being where I live, the venues out there do so much to promote. Like they have songwriter nights, and they really push the songwriting aspect and just making good music. And people love that kind of music here. Even the stripped down stuff, but
yeah.
it's yeah, it's a
What's
different
the-
world down here. I feel
What's
like
that big venue in Lubbock? The Blue Note or the High Note?
the Blue Light.
Blue Light.
Blue Light. Yeah, that's our home bar for sure.
Yeah. That's like home base.
Is that your favorite
Yeah.
place to play, I assume then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a place in Chicago that Joe's Bar, I don't know if you've heard of. It's a very famous like place like that where a lot of artists have come through, and then like Miranda Lambert's played like, and then they
Oh,
like,
yeah.
go up, and then sometimes they'll like come back after they're superstars and do like a surprise like thing. It's, I guess this is another depressing thing, like a lot of those like moments like that, like they would play a big show like say at like Wrigley Field, and then they would show
Right.
up at Joe's Bar at like 11 like after some newer artist is playing, and like
Yeah.
came out once, and like it's like that stuff is like probably not going to happen for a really long time with like what's gone on with like COVID. And it's like, and you realize like what's missing in our lives. It's like, yeah, like I miss that element of like life of being able to go to a concert and just
Right.
Talking with strangers and shit too.
yeah,
like,
especially for us,
Yeah.
the job is already so stressful and we're always working, and then it's sometimes the most fun we would have is at like a show, like at a bar, like we're talking about. Now that's not like the same, it's like, damn, like it's tough, like for you guys too, right? It's like you want to be able to go play at other, obviously doing your thing in Texas, but eventually probably
Right.
play in some other states and kind of get your name out there more. And like,
Definitely.
as far as the exact type of place you would probably play at, I think. And it's like, when is that going to happen? When are things going to be? You can't, the social distancing thing too. It's like, if that stays in place, I don't know what the vaccines and stuff, but like that's a really hard thing for like venues to like enforce.
Definitely.
Unless you're like in a pod, which I've seen in Europe. They have like pods. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh yeah.
Well, how's Texas doing it right now? And
yeah,
it varies by city, really. Some places are just completely open, no rules, basically. But there's some places like Lubbock, the last 6 months, I guess, has been pretty hard lockdown. We played a show over at the Blue Light here a few months ago, and had to wear masks at all time, had to be seated, couldn't go to the bar, had to have drinks brought to you. And so, I mean, the rules, they definitely put a damper on the energy of the show. It just doesn't have the same feel as before, as when there's hundreds of people crammed in there like sardines and everybody's screaming and having a good time. I'm ready to get back to that.
Yeah. Did you post? We posted on the site. Somebody that I think Wes might have wrote. There's like a concert with like they were like in ball, like a inflatable.
Yeah,
like,
the Flaming Lips were doing shows in plastic bubbles. Like
people were like in them.
So like
Bubble Boy.
You like rent out your bubble on the floor. And I don't know how that works with the bathroom or drinks or anything. But it's just like me and Steve in a bubble. Like
I'm already claustrophobic sometimes.
Right? There's no fucking way I want to.
I couldn't do that, dude.
Like, let's just go stand in a field. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't that? I know the weather obviously plays a role, but I feel like, well, Whiskey Myers going back, they actually. What's it called? Fire. They had a festival they had to postpone.
Firewater.
Which looks amazing, by the way. I think that's like the easiest way to probably start doing bigger shows is like, all right, we have this massive
outdoor.
Yeah. And like, here's your big little square. Just kind of try to hang out in it. But obviously people rush the stage, but I feel like at least you're outdoors. We already know like risk goes down and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. Like I'm hoping that it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a normal summer, but I'm hoping at least some of these like festivals, if they're able to kind of do it even in part, would help that momentum start. I think hopefully Miranda Lambert's playing at Billy Bob's,
like 5 days of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Want to play like people like want to play shows, like so.
I know, and people want to see music. People want to get out and do something. I think people are tired of being stuck in the house. It's just. I think this spring and summer there's going to be a flood of the big outdoor venue shows.
And I screenshotted this, and it's like another depressing thing, but like I think I saw like alcoholism and liver disease or some type of liver is up, like they said like 50 or 60%. All right, because in the last year, obviously people are just sitting at home. I mean, I'm gonna agree, like. We don't have the same tolerance as we used to, but like the frequency of drinking probably definitely has gone up because you're just like, I don't know what to do.
It's Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah. There's no like the days don't matter anymore.
Yeah, especially for us. Like the shows are getting canceled left and right. And like if it's not the pandemic, it's a winter storm or something, so stuff's just getting canceled all the time, and there's really not much else to do but just sit in the house and drink. So we're doing a lot of that.
Have you ever had a show where you were like, I'm ready to not go on, but like I'm on my way there and it got canceled or anything like that?
Not yet, knock on wood. Thank goodness.
Yeah, we don't want to jinx it.
Right?
Yeah, nothing like right beforehand. Usually they give us like a week or two notice. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen.
What's next for you? You got a new song, Hey Mary, coming out on the 24th, correct?
Yes, sir. This Wednesday.
Nice.
Why Wednesday? That's a bit of a.
I like that. You drop it in the middle of the week. I actually do like that.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a strategy thing. We didn't want it to be cluttered up by other releases or anything. And like nobody drops music on Wednesday. So I said, let's do it. So sorry.
Who made that rule? Like Fridays when you release music.
I don't know. I have no idea. But
right. Like, nobody even like
it's kind of just the standard. But
I get it. Like it's like my thing is like I'll sleep with my AirPods next to my bed. Sometimes I'll go to sleep with them to like meditate like a weirdo, and then
Yeah.
when I wake up Friday morning though, I'll put them in and then like listen to the new music. So it's kind of like a cool thing. But sometimes it's like a really slow Friday, and you're kind of like, I wish I wouldn't mind on a shitty Wednesday if like a new song came out. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of it. Just like we want to get it as in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And you know, if there's 20 other artists in the scene releasing music that day, then it's going to be kind of hard.
Yeah. No, totally. I had a question because I'm always curious with newer guys, especially, but Texas as well. Are there any mainstream, and I can define that more precisely if you need, but like mainstream country artists maybe that are like similar age or that are younger that you actually do look at and go, I actually like what that person's doing? Like for us, obviously like a Luke Combs, we kind of
right.
Eric Church, Kip Moore. Some of these guys are they're very like good.
Ashley
like
McBride.
Ashley McBride. Like
right.
We got Lainey Wilson on yesterday, who was awesome. Are there anybody like mainstream wise that you really kind of enjoy listening to?
Man, there's quite a few really. I don't like to hate on other people's music, even if I don't like it.
Right.
But like there's I lean I'm a big fan of the songwriting. And so I lean big towards the songwriters like Jason Isbell, Tyler Childers, Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more in that vein. Sturgill Simpson. That's kind of the Nashville vein that I enjoy a lot. I look up to those guys a lot too.
Stapleton's,
Them Kentucky boys.
Yeah.
They just don't make bad music.
Well, isn't it so nice though for you to see, like, for example, like a Tyler Childers, or I mean Stapleton's really big now after the last 5 years or so, but like, I mean, Casey Musgraves is another example. It's like you don't need radio.
Yeah.
You don't need it at all. Right? It's dying.
Right.
Everybody knows it's going away. Like everybody knows it's dying. It's kind of nice, right? Like to see that, like these.
It's cool to see people that were like in my position now and how quickly they just kind of shot up overnight. Like Tyler Childers, you're saying, he played his album release party for Purgatory. He played at Hoots Pub in Amarillo. And there's like, there's like hardly nobody there. It's a real small venue. And then, a few weeks later, he's a huge star. So you just never know when it could happen. And it's, but it does kind of give you some hope to see people like that just gain success so quickly.
Yeah. And like before COVID happened, like him and Sturgill were doing arena tours, like selling out multiple dates in a row of like stadiums. Like, give me a break.
He had, speaking of Nashville, because it's, I feel like a sticking point for us, because it's like people ask, like, would you move there? We're just like, no, like no chance. And what did Tyler Childers say about it? Like in the songwriting process, he said something, right?
He said, like, why would you move to one of the like fastest growing city metropolis type areas in the country to write songs about country music? Like,
it's completely.
I'm gonna move to a really big city. It's not really big, but like a big city and write country songs. Like, you better off just staying at home writing country songs about country life from the country people and the country stories that and then just hitting the road.
Right.
Sturgill said that too. Like, you're better off getting a fucking van and just touring.
Yep.
You are moving to Nashville,
100%.
trying to get in a room with, the same guy that cut 5 Luke Bryan songs. Like,
Yeah. And you spend all your money on a van and go tour, you're going to get a lot more inspiration for songs that way than, sitting in a Nashville apartment trying to write something.
Right. Look at like Zach Bryan's a great example. Like the dude's in Washington. It's not exactly like the first place you think of for.
It's like the last place you think.
Yeah. For real.
Wasn't Pearl Jam from over there?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's like really good music that's come from there. It wasn't like Nirvana.
Or Nirvana.
Yeah.
The punk scene.
Yeah. So like it's definitely has its history, but when you think country music, you're not like, oh, it does, because I don't think it matters anymore. You can be from Ohio, or you can be from Indiana, or you can be from wherever. And I think that's kind of
Norway.
Yeah.
There's like a
And I was-
Norway Chris Stapleton, right? A Norwegian Chris Stapleton.
Or I think he's Swedish. but,
Have you seen that guy?
No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
he looks like Chris Stapleton. I'm telling you, Google like Swedish Chris Stapleton when you get a chance.
Okay.
This guy's fucking.
It's legit, dude. Oh, it was like a reality show. Like, how have you ever had the temptation to go on like The Voice or anything like that? Please say no.
No.
Okay, good.
No, I haven't. I have
It's all
a
bullshit.
friend. I have a friend who actually was one of the winners on The Voice. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or not, but he won The Voice, and then basically they tried to screw him out of all of his money, I think. So he paid a bunch of money to get out of that contract.
Well,
Who was it? You can say-
Sundance Head.
oh
yeah.
yeah. We don't know
Yeah.
him, but we know him.
That guy, dude, he can sing. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah. What I hate about that show, can we say this, but I think we can. But a lot of people, it's just like it's all like it's all fake. It's not like now, at least for sure. Like it's not like the old days of the Carrie Underwood like American Idol. That was more.
Right.
It was a real like whoa, like it just turned into this like money machine of like, oh yeah, we're audition. No, you're not. It's all planned ahead. It's all like
Yeah. It's all about the TV ratings.
They asked Jason Isbell to audition.
oh right. You hear that story?
No.
They asked him to audition for The Voice. He's like, motherfucker, I'm Jason Isbell.
That was a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a few years ago, but like
This show, well, doesn't that tell you how out of touch these fucking producers are?
Yeah.
Well, and even with the contract thing, like we've hung out with Scotty McCreery before, and
Yeah, sweetheart of a guy.
I mean, great dude, but he talked about how he's like, man, it took me years to like get out from under my American Idol contract.
Yeah.
I didn't put out music for, I mean, how long? Was it? 5 years?
Oh, couldn't put out what he wanted to put out. You're literally like
locked in
a cage.
Yeah.
You can do whatever, anything.
And then 5 years hit or whatever that contract expiration day was, and then all of a sudden he started cranking out songs, and he put out 5 more minutes, and
yeah, like actual good music. Once he was
had
able
a
to.
one on country radio, and it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I just think that doesn't like if you're good, you're good. That's kind of how I always like felt with especially today. Now you have TikTok and you have all these things and ways to, if you really want to put your music there or on Facebook Live or whatever, it's like if you're good, Zach is a great example. Like you're good. Like people are gonna know you're good and you're gonna get huge and you're gonna get noticed. And I think you're one of those guys. Like you're good. Like
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, it's just like,
Are you on TikTok?
And man, I'm not on TikTok. I'm about to get on TikTok, I think, though. It's a pretty big platform these days.
well, especially I see a lot of Texas stuff, and we have a guy, we're talking to a dude who's really good on there. I forgot his name.
Warren Zeters.
Yeah, there's like
Pretty good. Yeah.
if when it's used that way, I love TikTok. Like, hey, I'm a young guy or girl, and I want to sing, and I'm gonna just post my clips of 30 to 60 seconds or whatever, and that's awesome. Like, there's the other world of TikTok. Like, I don't know if you saw in Nashville, there was like a TikTok house, and like.
10 wannabe country singers live in the same house,
and they just make content.
Yeah, that sounds.
When you're like,
yeah, I don't know about all that. But.
Brains out. I don't. You mentioned LA like it's a minute ago, and that's the vibe of Nashville now. It's like when you go there, it's like everybody's on. We were talking about this with a few different guests, and like everybody's always like on and looking good, and they have to wear their fucking stupid hat when they go get a coffee. I'm like.
Trying to be an influencer.
Like, yeah, it's like, dude, just make music.
Yeah, Texas.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I think, like especially West Texas, all that, because it's all just small towns out here, you know, and so there's almost none of that. There's a big push against that kind of living out here.
Yeah,
and so it's all just genuine songwriting. I feel like.
Yeah.
Do you know everybody in your hometown? Every single person.
Everybody. Yeah, I could walk into any house at any time of the day, and they'll just be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Slade?"
Is it the type of small town that like you kind of like dream of when you see like the whole like the aura of like small town USA? Like, is it that?
100%.
Oh, cool.
1,000% through. Yeah, and I think there's no better place to grow up either, because I mean, like you said, I literally know every single person in my hometown. There's not a stranger there.
I'm so envious of that. I didn't have that. I grew up in the worst type of town. It's like it's like the in between. It's like not quite a suburb of a big city, but it's like
Oh yeah.
it's like 40,000 people, and it's just like fucking garbage. And it's got like 2 McDonald's and a Dairy Queen and a Kohl's and then Kmart. But then like my high school was like basically like in a cornfield at the same time, but it was like a massive high school. I had like 500 people in my senior class or something. So
yeah, I graduated
like
with
that,
9 kids.
oh, it's the worst.
9. Yeah.
Shit, mine was 80 and I thought that was small.
Yeah. No, it's super small, like one of the smallest schools in Texas for
Were you
sure.
valedictorian?
I was actually. Yep. Top 11%
Who's the,
right
who's
here.
the fucking dude that came in 9th?
Right.
Still top 10, man.
Yeah, it's true.
I was top 10 in my class. He's applying to
Yeah.
Harvard.
Man.
Shit, dude. Did you have the square pizza for lunch that we all had?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's universal, man. It's
Spicy,
like,
well, for us, spicy,
Yeah.
spicy chicken patty Friday was
Oh,
like
yeah.
our big fucking day. Like we had a Tyson
Tyson
Oh
chicken.
yeah.
Tyson.
Dude, we had Tyson like pork patties.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, I went
we had
through-
those too.
I went through a phase where I had almost for like an entire like I think it was senior year, I ate Bosco sticks, which were like these breadsticks with cheese in them. I had cheese breadsticks and chocolate milk for lunch every day. Right. If I did that now, I would be like disgusted with myself.
He'd be in a 40.
It was just like it's insane what we feed like our fucking kids like at these schools. Dude. Like, and I think it's still a thing. Like, it didn't get better.
No, I think it's still the same.
You see some
No,
of these
yeah.
places in
Still
Europe,
chocolate milk every day.
giving the kids like a nice rosé. Like it's just like it's like here's your it's like here's your lunch and your espresso and your limoncello, and then here's your tiramisu dessert, and here's your
fucking veal
Yeah.
veal scallopini.
Yeah.
I was always like I had parents that cooked well, so I was always scared to bring like there's a comedian that talked about this too, Sebastian, and he's like I was like the weird kid because if I brought like European food because my parents were born there to lunch, like I didn't want to get made fun of. So I'd be like, I don't want to take it. I'll just buy the shit and eat the shit instead.
Dude, and I was super lucky because my house is actually like 50 feet from the school. So I just walk home for lunch, go make whatever I wanted.
Dude, that's
So,
the best.
Yeah.
A school like that to me, tell me if I'm wrong, one of my biggest people that I hate, obviously, like a bully, like bullies, and you see all this stuff in like high school and stuff. You see
Yeah.
tragic stories. Like when you got a school like that, I imagine everybody's kind of out, like keeps each other in check a little more.
100%. Like, yeah, there's no really like cliques or nobody, like no real bullies or anything. We all pick on each other because we're friends, but
Right.
there's just, yeah, I mean, everybody did everything together. There's like some classes that have like 2 dudes in it. And so it's so weird, but I mean,
Did you guys
everybody
like
grows up from
classes?
like, say again.
Did you like pick your class, or was it just like, and this is what you have to go to because the other you're going there?
It was pretty much like, this is what you have to go to. When we got up into high school, I started taking college classes and stuff. And so they kind of customize your schedule around that. But for the most part, like pre-K all the way up to like freshman year, you're in every class together, like the same 9 kids, every grade.
Well, speaking
And
of, did you go to college?
yeah, I just graduated from Texas Tech in August.
Oh,
actually.
nice. Congrats, dude.
Wreck 'em.
Yeah.
Wait, were we just talking about Texas Tech last night with Kingsbury or no?
Yeah, we were talking about Cliff Kingsbury
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Holmes and some of the great alums.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of good ones.
Are you a big football fan?
I am. Yeah.
What about are you rooting for are you a Houston Texans, Dallas Cowboys? What are you?
I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, geez, man.
Bummer.
Yeah, man. It hurts.
Well, I mean, no,
It
that's
hurts.
I'm a Bears fan. So.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know.
Cowboys would look like to be in a much better position. Maybe Jerry Jones, not great, but compared to
Yeah.
the Texans, disaster going on there.
Yeah, no joke. They've got it rough down there.
Sean
They've lost
Watson, yeah, like, oh man, JJ Watt.
JJ Watt. Yeah.
Well, even like the Cowboys are like, are they going to sign Dak? Like, what are they going to do? It's kind of one of those things where you're like, fuck, man. Like, I feel like they had a really good opportunity to be a good football team. And
Yeah. And they've got so many weapons. It's like they just can't figure their shit out at all.
Mike McCarthy was, in my opinion, like the worst possible thing
I know.
with that type.
Don't even get me started.
No, it's like, this is the problem with Jerry Jones, right? It's like he becomes like buddy with somebody, then he's like, I just want to hire. We see it now with the in like Chicago, like the White Sox, and they hired Tony La Russa. Everybody's like, what are you doing? They have this amazing young roster. A lot of people are like, I think the White Sox can make a run at the World Series. All this amazing stuff, a great mix of like personalities and people from different cultures and stuff. And you get Tony La Russa, like the worst possible person you can get, who hid his, and then Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, hid the DUI from the GM who hired him, didn't tell him until after the fact. Oh, by the way, he had a DUI. And then he goes into his first press conference, I just saw yesterday for spring training, 90 minutes late, and then comes in and he's like, COVID is such a nuisance. It's like,
you think
for everybody, but it's like, it's for everybody. It's annoying, but like, he's like, almost like, you got to like go through the stuff. Like, otherwise you can't play.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Like every team, and at least the Cowboys have, like you said, like the weapons. It's just like, if there's ever a team that needed a coach that's like young and into like the sabermetrics, so to speak, the numbers and the analytics,
Cliff Kingsbury,
they got the worst guy for that. He like doesn't believe.
100%. And and Jerry Jones, man, he wants to be the owner, he wants to be the GM, the coach, everything. He'd be playing out there if he could.
He's calling plays from the
Jackie Moon.
Yes, he's like, I think the Cubs for like, we're big Cubs fans. Like, that was the greatest example of like, once you get a legitimate GM or president, like Theo Epstein came in and like transforms everything. And like, there's all these young nerdy numbers guys now in the NFL at these like
guys from Harvard.
Yeah, like lower tier. They're not quite like assistant GM types, but like these are the types that you want to put in position, I feel like, to utilize a roster like that. It's like, I don't know. Right. What about baseball? Do you have a
and I'm not big into baseball. My school wasn't big enough to have baseball growing up, so I never got into it much.
Did you have a co-op like football team? How did you do that?
No, we played 6-man football.
What?
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's a big deal in Texas, man.
So how does
and the other 5 guys?
How does that work? You have
6 versus 6.
You have what?
So you have a center and 2 linemen. Everybody on the line's an eligible receiver.
Oh, so they can run.
And then usually a quarterback and 2 backs. That's usually your standard formation. Everybody's an eligible receiver. Quarterback cannot run the ball. There has to be an exchange.
What's the average score in a game like that?
High.
Right?
Yeah.
I imagine
it's a lot higher. There's games. It's not uncommon to have a couple games a year that like go up into the hundreds.
Oh, we gotta look this up and put it on the site.
Dude, it's just like so much faster pace. And there's like so much open field, and you have to focus on open field tackling, and it's a totally different game. But
my sister went to a small town college in Iowa, and ESPN eventually put them on TV because they only shot like 3-pointers. That's it. Like, they're just these like little short white guys running, and then they just stop and they would just shoot 3. There's like no actual basketball being played. It was just like these like little like, liberal arts college little dudes that look like us just running around and like shooting threes.
Poetry majors launching up.
and they would be like, nobody's dunking, obviously.
Yeah, they can touch the net. Yeah,
and the games would go, I think, sometimes into the 200s per team.
It's like
for them. There's no defense. It's just
no defense. Yeah.
But then a math nerd actually he was like, does this make sense for an NBA team to try this? Because he like did the thing, and he was like, if you shoot 75 3-pointers a game, what are the chances that, so there is actually like thought to it. But
then if you have a team like the Warriors with like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson who hit 30 or 40% of their threes, I mean, I think that's what they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
If you launch 70 a game, they hit 30. I mean, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
Right? Yeah.
I gotta dig into this 6-on-6 football.
Yeah, man. You look at 6-man football, and if there's a mercy rule, a 45-point mercy rule.
What position did you play?
I was quarterback.
Quarterback
on offense, and then like.
Were you the prom king?
No, I don't even think we had. I don't know. I don't remember. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's a different world. We did, but I mean, played football, basketball, track, golf, tennis. Did one act play, UIL academics. I mean, you kind of had to do everything because there's not enough people. But I feel like it made me pretty well rounded to have to do all those things. So
They're like, Slade, we're starting a debate team. You got to be on it.
Yeah.
I went to state and debate.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Jack of all trades,
Right.
right?
And even a name like Slade Coulter, like I would think you made that up to be a rock star. But
my parents naming me, they were looking for a name, and my dad just said it has to be something that sounds cool over a loudspeaker. So they settled on Slade.
there we go, man.
That's a perfect way to end it, dude. That was a quick 45 minutes or so, 50 minutes.
Right.
Dude,
Oh, was that 50 minutes already?
yeah. We appreciate it. We're gonna share your music. Let's have you on again, and hopefully, if you ever come out to Colorado or something, we'll take some edibles and stare at the water and the mountains.
Sounds like a plan, dude.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
for having me on, guys.
Awesome, dude. Take care. Have a great show too, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yep.
Yeah.